How did counterinsurgency fail against Vietnam's guerrilla tactics? Have you ever wondered why counterinsurgency efforts struggled so much against the guerrilla tactics used in Vietnam? The answer lies in the unique nature of the conflict and the strategies employed by the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army. First, it is essential to understand that the United States and South Vietnamese forces were primarily trained for conventional warfare. They relied heavily on large troop deployments and superior firepower. However, this approach was not effective against the decentralized and elusive tactics of the Viet Cong. The guerrillas often used small unit, hit-and-run strategies that made them difficult to target. One major issue was the misunderstanding of the conflict's nature. Many U.S. commanders viewed the war through a conventional lens. They failed to recognize that they were fighting a mix of guerrilla insurgency and traditional battles. This led to an operational mismatch, where heavy firepower was used against an enemy that avoided direct confrontation. Another factor was the inadequate training and doctrine of the U.S. Army. Military education did not prepare officers for low-intensity conflicts. Many leaders tried to apply tactics from World War II or the Korean War, which simply did not work against guerrillas who relied on ambushes and sabotage. The failure of pacification programs also played a role. For example, the Strategic Hamlet program aimed to isolate guerrillas by moving villagers into fortified areas. However, this often alienated the very population the U.S. wanted to protect. The Viet Cong took advantage of this resentment, attacking these hamlets and undermining security efforts. Additionally, the South Vietnamese government struggled to maintain control and security in rural areas. Without stable governance, counterinsurgency efforts lacked legitimacy. The Viet Cong capitalized on this by gaining support in many villages. The over-reliance on firepower further complicated matters. Heavy bombing and artillery often harmed civilians and destroyed villages. This alienated the rural population and increased support for the insurgents. Instead of weakening the guerrillas, these tactics sometimes strengthened their hold on the population. Resistance within the U.S. military to unconventional warfare methods also hindered progress. Special forces and local militia programs that showed promise were often sidelined, limiting their effectiveness in counterinsurgency. Lastly, successful counterinsurgency requires a combination of military, political, economic, and social efforts. Unfortunately, U.S. and South Vietnamese strategies often failed to integrate these components effectively. While the Viet Cong combined military action with political campaigns, U.S. efforts remained fragmented. In summary, counterinsurgency failed because the U.S. and South Vietnamese forces could not adapt to the guerrilla tactics of the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army. Their focus on conventional military superiority and failure to win the support of the rural population allowed the guerrillas to maintain influence and continue their operations despite heavy losses.